to action. Powered by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce, we are the champions of change, advocating for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility in the world of corporate and government contracting. It's not just a show, it's a movement. So get ready for another dynamic journey as we wake up the world to a new era of opportunities and empowerment. Ladies and gentlemen, President Larry Ives.
Welcome to the Wake Up Show Chicago, powered by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. I am MC Pearson from 25 Mike Printing, one of your co-hosts on today, and we also have the illustrious Mr. Larry Ivory. Larry, prayers, come on, wake us up. All right, looks like prayers. Are you with me, Doc? You know what? I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna call Brother Larry on up. But I definitely we have a show with some really great guests on today. We have our brother Universal with us, and we're gonna be talking about a lot of great topics on today. So here's the thing: when we talk about Black businesses in the state of Illinois, and we talk about their effectiveness as far as how they affect our communities, what type of procurement contracts that they get, what type of access did they get to these taxpayer funded programs that are going on all throughout the state. Well, we also have to then sit back and consider which of these states, how does Illinois rank when it comes to the Black population and Black businesses? And so one of the things that has happened is we had 24/7 Wall Street, which has come out with an article about the worst states for Black Americans, and they ranked it in each one. And so what they've done is they've taken this information from the Census Bureau and they've extrapolated various data factors, data points, in order to figure out which one of these states are good, which one are bad. And the crazy part about it is when you talk about the top 10 worst, Illinois is in that top 10. So, we're gonna bring Brother Universal up on stage with me, and then we're gonna have our other guests calling in to be partake in this conversation as well. So now the crazy part about it is this: we have also taken the information that 24/7 Wall Street has given us, and not only looked at it, but then began to extrapolate even further data out of it, such as which of these states has the most Black businesses in them. And it's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And the fact that Illinois sits at, oh, look, I'm scrolling down. Oh, my brother, Mr. President Larry Ivory, is now on the line. Prayers, are you on the line with me? Come on, wake us up, Larry.
About this incredible conversation we're going to have today in reference to what we need to do in order to make things better. So, today, let me just say, MC, thanks a lot for, kind of setting the stage for our conversation with the Black Enterprise Report, 24/7 Wall Street. And it's a little alarming, when you see that, where we thought we would be, maybe in the top 3 or 4 in the state of being the best place for Black people, we realize that we're 4th of the worst places. The only place that's worse than us is Idaho, Iowa, and Wisconsin. So we got work to do. Now, what's interesting is this, MC, and to our listening audience, is that we have everything going for us. I mean, we have people in the right positions. Speaker of the House, Lieutenant Governor, President of Cook County. We got all the things aligned for us to do better. The challenge is for us is to examine what we're doing wrong and figure out how we do better. A part of that is what we're going to be talking about today from Lobby Day, is being intentional about moving the agenda forward, MC.
And you know what? And the other reason that this is so important, and I love the fact that they went ahead and did this report for us, Larry, is because Illinois, not only are we the fourth worst state for black people in the United States, but we also have the seventh largest population of black people in the country. You know, so this huge concentration of black people in the state of Illinois, we need to be doing better.
Well, absolutely, absolutely, MC. So, today I'm excited that we have, a couple of guests who were a part of Lobby Day, and they are part of the listening. Is that what we're going to accomplish today? Is that we're going to go to every agency, only one today, and that's going to be the Department of Correction, and we're going to give them a score. Okay, we want their input in terms of how they think the meeting went, and then we're going to score them. And then we're going to take a look at the strengths and the weaknesses, and hopefully come at the end of this conversation, come up with a game plan in terms of how do we make it better, because that's the objective. Because if we talk on the radio show and it's a good conversation, that's not accomplishing a lot. I mean, it's great conversation, but what we want to do is hold people accountable and begin to move. I think the needle for. I think the governor wants to. I think everybody wants to see Illinois in the top, not in the bottom, but in the top. But I think we have a lot of things going for us, but we're going to have to take a real serious look as to how they rank these things in terms of incarceration, disparity of income, all those factors. So that's going to be important. So we're going to start off. MC, tell us who do we have who's on the line with us and who's live on YouTube with us.
So right now, we got a few people calling in. They're going to be joining the conversation, and we're excited about it. But right now, we got Brother Universal, who is online with us right now. Good morning, Universal. Wake us up. How you doing, Doc?
Good morning, good morning, good morning. I am well. How are
Universal must
Hey,
be on mute.
Universal must be on mute. Are
Can
you
you
on
hear
mute?
me?
Look like you're on mute, Doc.
How about now?
Well, let's keep going while we get them off mute, MC, because this is a very critical topic. Let's go through real quick the things that we're rating the companies on, in reference to, one, were the leadership of the agencies front and center. That's where you get anywhere from 1 to 5 points. And then we have a 6 point criteria, which maximum points you can get is 30, which means that you have performed extremely well. So when we ask the fundamental question, for those who were in that particular meeting, I think Universal, Pamela Fraser and John Fraser was in those particular meetings. There's also Dr. Serling. So when we take a look at that area, MC, you were in that meeting also, right, MC?
Yes, I was with the DOC, Department of Corrections, and I feel that I can adequately speak to their scorecard. We have 6 areas. We have 6 areas where we are scoring people, where we're going to score our agency. So the first area is decision makers. Were they actually present in the room? The people who could actually say yes and create a change in the way the agency is operating. And the second one is do they have diversity in their leadership? Is it do they have people who look like us who are a part of their teams? The next one is, do they provide transparency? A lot of times people like to hold to the cuff of what they're not good in. They only like to spin and shine and show you all the great stuff. But we're looking for transparency and opportunity to be better. The fourth one is, did they show a willingness to meet with the chamber on an ongoing basis? Because you come down to lobby day and we tell you what's going on and what we're looking for, and we listen. But in order to invoke change, we need to continue to have meetings. We need to continue to measure our effectiveness. And so we want to continue to meet with you. Are you willing to do that? Number 5 is, are you currently achieving, are they currently achieving their diversity goal, including with the African Americans? And that's pretty plain and simple. And then also open to discussing how to improve and asked how they could do differently. Were they interested in that? So you know what? We also have one of our new guests on the line. Chris, who I got on the line that's with us now? Mr. Robert Frazier is joining the conversation. Robert, can you hear me? Come on and wake us up. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Yes, sir. It was a pleasure to meet you all at Lobby Day, and hopefully we can come up with a plan to make sure that they're going to do what they said they were going to do. So whatever we can do to make that happen for our community, I'm for that 100%.
Hey, Robert, let me ask a question real quick.
hmm
We gave the rating system. I want you to go down the list. Give us a quick overview on how you think the meeting went, and then we're going to ask you on a score of 1 to 5, how do you think they did in that area, in those particular points? We're going to try to get to that quickly because we got a number of other guests who are going to be calling in to give their rating also. So give us a brief overview of how you think the meeting went from your perspective, and then we're going to have MC to ask you to give a score from 0 to 5 in these particular areas of discipline.
Got you. From a perspective of how the meeting went, it was probably one of the best meetings that I have attended since I've been going to Lobby Day. It was enough room to fit everybody. There was plenty of seating. There was a lot of engagement from both sides. Everybody in the room was asked to identify themselves, and there was a lot of questions asked. There was a lot of questions answered. There was a lot of hope. There was a lot of just putting us in a position that we were needed. We were told on many different occasions that our assistance and their procurement gateway was very much needed. So let's go on with the scoring. If you want to ask me, or and then I'll score it. Pretty much 5 all the way down.
Okay, well, let me ask another question. We have Dr. Jeffrey Sterling, who was really kind of the facilitator of the meeting with the Department of Correction, one of our leaders within the chamber who's on the line. Dr. Sterling, welcome to the Wake Up Show.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So, Dr. Sterling, give us your go ahead.
I mean, I really can't say enough about the potential that the meeting represented. In terms of the scoring, you actually had a department that was represented throughout its leadership and through its procurement staff. They were engaged. They actually came to listen. They were receptive, and they were receptive not only to critiques, to frustration, but to opportunities and to collaboration. And I think that this is an example. This is a particular agency with whom we've met. I think it was perhaps my 3rd or 4th year meeting with them and seeing some of the same staff members that we've built relationships with over the years really contributed to that ability to have meaningful, constructive conversation. The issue that remains on the table is that activity is an accomplishment, and we have to improve, and this is not specific to DLC at all, but we have to improve across the board participation by Black businesses, because I think it's fair to remind everybody that this isn't just about participation of Black business in the areas discussed. This is about producing better outcomes across the board. And for an agency in which 54% of the incarcerated are Black males, it stands to reason that part of the reason why the recidivism rate and their incarceration rate is what it is because there aren't culturally sensitive solutions being offered to forestall incarceration and to reduce recidivism. So as a good governance proposition, in addition to being about fairness and equity and inclusion and diversity, it just makes sense that you would want to include the community that is most at risk and most subject to the incarceration that the department spends its time addressing. So what needs to happen moving forward is very simple: engagement, collaboration, identification of specific opportunities in which we can provide leadership and provide opportunities to them, and work with the incarcerated and those that are recently released to produce better outcomes. This has to be an outcomes-based conversation because we are a vehicle to service. And I'm never not mindful of that. And we can do a better job, certainly, than the outcomes that are being produced. And I think we move forward with that in mind. So I appreciate the ongoing receptiveness of the department to our presence. Let's translate that into receptiveness toward our conducting business and producing better outcomes.
Absolutely. Well said. And we have Universal on the line also. So what we're going to do, we're going to have each of our guests give their overview of the meeting, and then we're going to do the rating. So why don't we have Universal come on? Universal, if you're on, talk to us.
Actually, Universal he should be on in about 60 seconds. So,
okay,
never mind. He just told me he was on. Universal, you on with me?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
All right, there you go. We got the whole gang now. Come on.
Yeah, hey, Universal, give us a quick overview. Give us a quick overview of what you thought about the meeting from your perspective. Make it quick, and then we're going to get into the rating.
Absolutely. It's my first time out to Lobby Day, and showing up, meeting, and just my perspective and view what was happening. It was quite receptive. There was enough space in there for people to come in, sit down, and engage in conversation. Everyone was able to talk to who they were, what the professions were, so it could be in an intimate space so that we could start that culture of communication and also just building and networking. People could know, who they are, faces, names, that kind of thing. And I thought that was pretty amazing.
Bring back in. Hey, Universal, we just lost you. Can we bring it back in? Okay, can you bring it back in?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Okay, we got you now.
Okay, so there was this sister, Jacinta. She was super helpful in terms of making sure that everyone had past, present, and future information in terms of opportunities, how people could access those opportunities within the corrections, and get involved. And just as Dr. Sterling was saying too, I really do think they built a strong foundation to welcome and make it inclusive. We just got to show up, as Dr. was saying. We have to show up and get involved and make sure that we know how we can really get a maximum return on our investment. But we have to be invested and show up.
Absolutely. Hey, well again, let me thank all three of you for coming down to Lobby Day to engage in something that is, I think, critical to our own survival, and also important in terms of how do we make Illinois the best state in the union, and the best state in terms of how, the destination for African Americans. So we got a little work to do, and that's why we're here, to get the work done and to make sure we have relevant conversation. So Dr. Sterling and to the team, let's go with the first rating. MC, what was the first rating that we had? And I want to ask each person to give us on the scale of 0 to 5, what you thought. And we're going to try to get to that quick, and then we're going to have some additional dialogue. So MC, what was the first rating?
So the first rating we have is, were the decision makers present at the meeting?
Okay, real quick, Universal, what do you say on the scale of 0 to 5? Were they there?
I would say 4.
Hey, you got to be a lot quicker, man. We're rolling. When we ask you a question, you got to ask it quick and keep rolling, man.
Yes,
Universal, sir. You said 4?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, he got some static, MC. Maybe we can help him out with his reverberation that's going on. Robert, go ahead. What was your rating that you gave? I think you said a 5, if I'm not mistaken. But go ahead and tell the listening audience, what did you rate him at?
Yes, sir. I rate them a 5. Everybody that needed to be there, as far as I was concerned, was there.
Dr. Sterling?
Oh, it was definitely a 5. There literally was no one who we would wanted to have been there who was not there.
Absolutely. MC, next one.
The next one is have diversity in their leadership.
Quick, Universal, did they have diversity in their leadership? With people of color a part of the team? Going on to Robert. Robert was, did they have diversity?
Yes, I'll give it a 5.
Dr. Sterling, I think I know what your answer
Definitely
is, but I'd rather hear from you. Definitely a 5. Let's go to the next one, MC.
All right. So the next one is going to be, did they provide transparency?
And that's the interesting one. Now, I want you guys to give it some thought. Did they provide transparency? What do we mean by that? Were they open and asking how, in terms of transparency on where they were at, the questions that we asked? So I'll start with Robert. What do you think, Robert, on the scale of 0 to 5?
Based on what we know, what's hard about this question is we don't have anything to compare it to as far as transparency in my perspective. But I do feel like they were open, they were inquisitive, they wanted dialogue, they asked questions. So I'm going to give them a 4, at least a 4 on that one. But it's to be determined.
Okay, absolutely. Dr. Sterling?
That's the toughest of the questions because they really were open. Transparent is a different thing. One of the reasons why I say that is that, Larry, you'll be talking about this a little bit, I'm sure, but we have a specific procurement that has been problematic, and understanding why the procurement turned out the way in which it is the basis for which we would say that there still is a little bit to be desired in transparency. So it's one thing to be transparent about the process, having a conversation and looking out proactively. But in the face of controversy, we've had some difficulties getting the types of understanding as to why things were handled the way in which they were with specific procurement opportunities. So I'm inclined to go 3.5 on that. If you want to round that up, I think it's closer to a 4 than a 3, but that's the one area that I really think isn't a 5 for the guys.
Okay. Universal is back. Universal, what do you give them in terms of transparency?
I get the same senses that everyone else is saying. In terms of feeling, right, you get the senses of being there, and there's transparency there. But to have something that we can really have measurable against is very significant to be able to see where that needle is really going. So I'll say a 3.
A 3? Okay. MC, the next one.
Showed a willingness to meet with the chamber on an ongoing basis.
Well, that one, I'll start with Robert. I think go ahead, Robert, and then Dr. Sterling, then Universal. And that may be a little difficult to answer.
I think it's probably going to be a 4 on that. I think they've been pretty consistent. When you call to meet, I put it this way: if I were to call them, they would never meet with me individually. May get them to them on the phone, maybe. But I think they're open and they are willing to meet and to work to get some changes done. I'm going to stick with
Universal.
on that.
Okay, Universal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. In that measurement, I would fall into process. I would say 4. And the reason why I'll say 4. The reason why I'll say 4 is because I'm still new to the process and just watching, right, the relationship between the chamber and Department of Corrections. But I'll say 5.
Okay. Dr. Sterling?
It's a 4. It should be a 5, but the exuberance that was expressed in meeting with us has not been matched with the provision of availability. I'm always weary of unresponded phone calls, meeting requests, and unresponsiveness to emails, and there have been examples of that. But I think that I hope that, and I trust that that's a matter, except for the email consideration, more of operational logistics than it is an indication of a level of obstinance. So I know that coming from the acting director's level, it's certainly a 5. We just have to get the rest of the team to match that level of exuberance and provide us with availability. Not provide us with availability, but prioritize availability, because in fact, there really are metrics that need to be addressed, and the only way to get to that is to provide us with availability, and that there's a little bit of room there to square up the exuberance and the logistical availability being provided to us.
Absolutely. MC, next one.
All right. So this is one we're all interested in. Are they currently achieving their diversity goal, including with African Americans?
Okay. Robert, you go first on that. And this is only based upon your thoughts because, it's where you're at. Go ahead, Robert.
Oh, that's definitely a 0 that I can. I don't think they're even close. They're in the ballpark from what I know, from what I see, and I know we do very little business with DOC. But if I got to give it a kind of come off the snide of 0, it'd definitely be a 1.
Okay. Universal, what's your thoughts?
I'll have to say the same. I'll have to say 1, and that's based on the historical relationship and just looking at the data that's taking place right now. We, as African American business owners, we still have the highest population of African Americans within the corrections, and looking at the ratio of how much services are we providing towards the population that's in there, and just historically, right? How has that been? I will say on the other end, we do have to do our part of showing up and then making sure that we gain all and utilize all the benefits that we have that's available to us so that we can improve these numbers in that way. But for right now, I'll say 1. Okay. Dr. Sterling?
Yeah, I'm actually going back and forth between a 0 and a 1 on this because by any objective measure, the results just aren't there. And of course, there's a recent experience which you'll talk about, Larry, in which majority vendors who have not performed well have been given allowances to reduce BEP spend from 5% to 2% to 1%. It's just not a good situation if you look at it objectively, but this is where the opportunity really exists for improvement. I think you have an agency that sincerely wants to do better, but we will challenge them and hold them accountable to that end. So let's go with the 1.
Hey, Dr. Sterling, this is MC. You and I sat in together at the Department of Corrections. And so I agree with you as far as meeting their minority goals. But would you also say that they were a higher number on transparency? Because one of the things that they stated while we were in the meeting is that, the same 5 companies keep getting their contracts. They put them out there in the same 5 contracts, same 5 or 6 vendors keep getting them. And that, and they said, hey, we're working to diversify our vendors, and we're doing certain, special programs and putting together certain things and reaching out to a more diverse group. So even though, yes, they get a 1 or a 0, do you give them, credit for having transparency to tell us that, yeah, we're not doing well in this area? What's your take on that?
Well, transparency is what transparency does. Again, there's 2 components to the transparency. One is a prospective look at the process. I think they score incredibly high on that, and they're very forthright and upfront about where the flaws are, where the weaknesses are, what the solutions need to be. But we are mindful, and this is a specific deal with Simcoe, where we actually engaged in a process, didn't get the award, filed a protest, won the protest, and then had to fight like hell to get any piece of information regarding why things worked out the way they did.
That's a critical factor. Hey guys, let's keep moving because I know we're going to run out of time. So, because we're going to get to the meat of some things here. So, let's go to the next one, MC.
Last but not least, are they open to discussing how to improve and asked what they could do differently?
Okay, let's start with you, Dr. Sterling. Dr. Sterling. If not, let's go ahead with Robert.
Oh yeah,
Robert,
no. That's it. I didn't know that you started me on that one. I mean, that's an unequivocal 5. I mean, hell, they should get a 10 out of 5 on that scale. I think that the opportunity is there. We just need to meet. We need to collaborate. We need to propose. We need to identify opportunities. And I have complete faith in the team, the leadership, and the process. I think that we're really poised to do better. And I really think the emphasis coming out of this conversation is what can be done moving forward compared to what's been done in the past. Hell, if you look back on any agency in the state, we're going to have the same types of problems. But I will emphasize here that I can't believe that there's another agency that is better poised for success moving forward than DOC.
Well, one of the things I'd say before we go on from that is that DOC is a billion-dollar industry. They incarcerate and protect us from people who might have committed crime. Not all the people committed crimes, and not all of them have to be protected against. But the fact of the matter is they spend a lot of money, food, commissary, you name it, they spend it. And we represent the largest segment of the population on a percentage basis who are there. So if there's any place that there ought to be a degree of opportunity, it would just seem like this would be the agency that I think should have the degree of sensitivity, because recidivism is about opportunity. When people are working, got a job, then they're less likely to commit.
And you know what, Larry? We're going to continue with this conversation right after the break. Stick with us at the Wake Up Show Chicago. Welcome back to the Wake Up Show Chicago, powered by the Illinois State Black Chamber of Commerce. We got this great conversation going on, so without any further ado, we're going to keep it going. Come on, Prez. Please continue.
Well, hey, we started off, so let's ask on the last question in terms of that Dr. Sterling just answered, Robert, and then Universal, and then we're gonna dovetail into a different type of conversation here that we want to try to get to. So go ahead, Robert.
So, it's interesting thought, but the last time I checked, professional services and product and service driven is different. As far as I know, when we bid on contracts, lowest responsible bidder wins. So I'm not sure how they can navigate the process and make sure who they want to win a contract wins a contract. As we know, we've seen and witnessed with what they've done to Dr. Sterling's group, that just because you're lowest responsible bidder, they still fight the powers that be still fight to get you the contract. So I don't know how they can accomplish some of the things they want to do without intentionally doing it. And then how can our black-owned and operated businesses bid on these contracts and be the lowest responsible winner and win and move on?
Let me cut you off, Robert, and I'm going to answer that question for you because I'm a procurement expert. Number one is that you have a thing called the sheltered market. That's the procurement law. And when you take a look at sheltered market, it does allow people a better chance to win in the event that they have a sheltered market in any discipline, whether it be IT or advertising, and there's other sheltered markets we can create. When you do that, then you don't have to compete against your white counterparts. So there's one opportunity. The other thing that they can do is that there's a number of other strategic things that they can do in order to improve the results at the end of the day. Professional services, most of the time, doesn't require a hard bid. But even on the other side, they still got a 40% or 30% participation that they have to achieve. And when you're doing that, you're competing against your own people, not against a white male or a big company that has significant amount of revenue. So I want to land there because I think it's important to understand that we got an enormous amount of opportunity on the law side to create significant opportunities. So they don't get an out for that with me because I understand procurement too well to know that that's not the case. So let's move on to the next person. Universal, if you could be quick on that answer for us.
Yeah, absolutely. In thinking about it from high overview, right, you're talking about a security facility, right, and they have to make sure that everything is tight. When I went there, just speaking with them and engaging with them, I got the strong impression that they are still willing to discuss, right, the look at making sure that the population can stay up to date with what's going on within the community in terms of job-wise. So they have the adequate amount of skills there, right? The opportunity that, individuals can provide in services, right? Making sure that, when they get out of jail, they can go into fields of IT, they can go into construction, they can go into places where, they can make a good living for themselves and also stay out of jail. So just high overview, I think I got the strong impression that they're open to discussing and looking at what kinds of even using data to create programs that are tailored for culture, specifically for men, female, black men, female, to be able to stay out of the correctional jail.
Universal health. Thanks a lot, you guys. I am hurrying everyone, not intentionally, but there's so much to cover, and I want to get to the final outcome here. So I'm pushing everyone a little bit faster to kind of get to this point. So let me just say this, is that based upon what we heard, MC, and to our guests, it sounds like most of us would say that Department of Correction gets a B or a B plus. Am I fair in that assumption when I take a look at the grade that we fall within? Because if a 30 points to 25 points is an A, 24 to 20 is a B, 19 to 15 is a C, and 14 to 10 is a D, and anything under 10 is an F. So we give them a solid B based upon the responses we got from you guys. They have a solid B. Okay. Now, the where they're failing at is the area of Black participation. Now, let me just point out something real quick because I'm intimate with it. There was a major procurement with a major agency that does the healthcare or takes care of the people in the prison correction system. And they've had this contract for many years. They have, in spite of the 30% mandate that the caucus has put in place, they got a contract and they couldn't even do 5%. They even negotiated down to 1%. And this is a major contract. Because they had no competition, we created competition, and Dr. Sterling Simcoe Solution was not selected, only to protest it and find out then that they won the protest. But when you win the protest, nothing really happened. So one of the things that they can do And we want to spend the rest of the time talking about what it is that they can do to improve Black men. Now, they say to us, based upon the conversation, I believe them for their word. They want to do better. I think the leadership gets that. They want to do a better job. We got to help them to do a better job by being ready, willing, and able, by engaging in real dialogue, honest conversation about what are the opportunities, how do we compete. Even if we lose, we need to have an exit interview to determine how far off we were, so that next time we bid, we win. So we're gonna engage with the Department of Correction in a serious way on how we help improve Black participation in every level of life. So I'm going to ask Dr. Sterling, then I'm going to ask each of you to be brief in your comments. What do you think else we can do to help them move from a B to an A to get to the highest level you can get to? Dr. Sterling, go right ahead.
The bottom line here is that you're either wedded to the process or you're wedded to a set of desired outcomes. The fact of the matter is that if you continue doing the same thing that you've been doing, you'll continue to get the same outcomes. And if the metric of interest here is producing better outcomes for reducing recidivism and reducing the incarceration rates amongst this community, then you need to take a different approach. And at some point in time, you're going to have to just say that it can't just be a low bid process and may the winner do the best job they can. You need to provide some culturally sensitive and culturally specifically administered solutions for our community, which is way overly disproportionately selected. There's precedent in other agencies where they realize what I just said to the extent of providing specific procurement opportunities where our community become involved in this service, because we will be the ones that ultimately produce better outcomes. So not only a receptiveness to that concept, but a sheer will, leadership, and determination to make that happen is the way forward. And we're going to keep pushing for that.
Absolutely. Hey, Robert, tell us the business you're in, and can they do business with you? I mean, what it is that you do that you can do with the Department of Correction? What suggestions do you have? I need you to be brief, though, because we just don't have a lot of time.
Right. So we're in the laundry and linen space. We provide linens. And we offer the services of procuring, of cleaning, folding, wash, dry, fold, all of that stuff. And we have the trucking logistics along with that. But I would love to see us have more of a presence in Springfield and more meetings at least on a monthly basis. Meeting once or quarterly is not enough. We need to push the plate and meet more so we can get things done quicker. And I think that'll happen even more so if we have a 7-day, 5-day-a-week presence in Springfield where they can reach out and we can reach out to them.
Okay, thanks a lot. At Universal, you do IT and technology and data. These are big areas. What do you think you could do to help inmates who are transitioning, and what's your thoughts on anything we can do to improve where they're weak at?
I look at it from the infrastructure perspective. I believe if we introduce a concept that's called CPAR's Community Participatory Action Research, where we can engage in bringing those critical stakeholders to the table and having an ongoing conversation that creates a schedule or a pipeline, let's say, from start to finish, and create solid outcomes that we can hold everyone accountable and reach them so that we can really say, okay, we have a strong positive impact, and this is what has happened to get done, to make it happen. And these are the, positive results of that.
Oh, absolutely. Hey, MC, go ahead. Talk to us, MC.
One of the things that I like that the BEP Council does is they have their monthly meetings, and you can sign up so that you can listen to those meetings live online, and then you can also participate. I think that the other agencies probably should follow suit. This way, regardless of whether we're in Springfield or not, we can have scheduled meetings where we can continue to have this dialogue, and then also measure the effectiveness of the dialogue and the different things that we've put in place. So I would like to see the agencies follow along with the exact same thing that the BEP Council is doing.
Hey, let me just say this to everyone and to those who are listening, and hopefully even the Department of Correction who may be listening, is that you've done a better job than average, but there's more work to be done. And we're looking forward to an ongoing dialogue not just a dialogue, but developing strategies with the APO, the SPO, and others who work on procurement to really create a better opportunity. I think the caucus, the Black caucus, especially the Latino caucus, would be happy to see that we're making progress. Right now, we're not making enough progress. So we need to be intentional. We live in a great state that needs work, that the potential is there to be the best in class. But we can only be the best in class when we stop making excuses and begin to do what we need to do. Since things like the contract where a vendor wins a protest and nothing happens, and it's still the same vendor, so there was no consequences. So I'm struggling, as I told leadership on the procurement policy board. It's not good enough to this. If you win a protest, but yet nothing changes, the same vendor doing a 1% goal. If they're doing that, they may be doing 0%, and they're outside of the state. We have to take a look at what we can do internally, create more culturally sensitive opportunities for all of us. This conversation is going to be consistent with every agency. We're going to rate them. We're going to talk about their strengths and weaknesses, and we're going to meet with them on an ongoing basis to report back to our listening audience and to the Black business community and Black people throughout the state as to what progress is being made so that we can become the best state in the United States when it comes to Illinois. This will take hard work and commitment, but I think we're up for the work, and I hope that the agencies are up for the work. That doesn't exclude, the private corporations, and we're going to be working with them also at the same time. So I'm going to give you guys a few closing opportunities here. I need you to be quick because we only have 1 minute left. Well, Dr. Sterling, since you led the meeting, why don't you give us words of wisdom to kind of close out, and then we'll wrap this thing up in a couple of minutes, and we'll move on. So at this time, Dr. Sterling.
I think you summarized it perfectly, Larry. I really want to applaud them for the work that they've done. It's a tough.
We got 45 seconds, gentlemen.
Tough deal to achieve, but we're up for it. Let's do it.
Robert, what you got?
Okay, Doc. So
Yes.
Go ahead, Robert. You got 15 seconds, man.
Just thankful that it's a good start, guys. That we at least come together. We can accomplish more together than we can singly. On a good start. Let's just keep our foot on the gas, on the pedal, and make a purposeful step in things and making it happen.
Well, hey, let me just mention this real quick, guys. Next show is going to be on the Department of Transportation and the internal and the State Revenue Department. We're going to evaluate them, give them a grade, and have a conversation with those who were part of that meeting. So, MC, you want to close out with any comments that you have before we shove off?
Listen, we just want to thank everybody who tuned in to the Wake Up Show Chicago. You can also catch the replay on YouTube and on Facebook. We will continue this conversation online. And outside of that, on behalf of our president, Larry Ivory, and all of our wonderful guests, we thank you for joining us. Peace.